I was talking about the voices in my head earlier, right? So how many of you have voices in your head? Are they troublesome? Sometimes? Are they useful sometimes? Yeah. How would you nodded fastest? So how specifically is the voice in your head useful?
Because sometimes it's talking things through to me, considering options, considering pros and cons.
I noticed this morning as I was getting ready, and I told you, being late and everything, the oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God chorus in the back of my head. Well, you know, that's not really the worst possible mantra. And it had a really good clip going to it, so it kept me moving. I mean, I think I took a 37-second shower, so don't anybody get too close. And everything that I needed to do, in some sense, it provided me an internal rhythm. In another sense, however, it also, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, usually is what you say right before the car hits the tree. So not the best way to keep oneself calm, but on the other hand, calm wouldn't have been all that helpful, would it? So yeah. So I have a little mini lesson for you about the voice in your head, though. Particularly, who has a voice in their head that gives them hell about stuff, that criticizes and and all that? Yeah. So and the rest of you that aren't raising your hands, probably because some voice in your head said, well, don't raise your hand about this. That's all right. But if you have that, then one of the things that's curious to me is people try to change what their internal voice says, right? I mean, I could be in there going, oh, instead of saying, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, I'm going to say some beautiful affirmation like, life is in perfect order, and I love myself completely. Or in spite of the fact that I'm late for this seminar, I truly love myself. Well, that's all right. You could do that. But the funny thing is, usually it's pretty hard if that voice has something to express to you. I mentioned that I do these first Monday night things every month, right? And when I was new at it, I was also really quite anxious about it because, I was new at it. And I didn't know. I wasn't doing any kind of significant advertising, and I put a little an ad in a local kind of calendar magazine. That was a woo new agey calendar magazine, as a matter of fact. And an hour before the seminar, I would say to myself, well, Michael, these people are going to be here. These people are going to be here in an hour. Are you really ready to do this program? And I'd start thinking about it, and I'd hear this voice, and it would keep going on. It would say, the outline that you've got and the presentation that you're doing isn't as good as it could be. If only you had taken more time, you could have read that other article or listened to those recordings or done this or done this or done this to be better prepared and have an even better program. And in the advertisement, I'd ask for RSVPs. But I didn't want people not to come because they hadn't RSVP'd, so I said that RSVPs were optional but appreciated, or some stupid thing like that. So here it is, an hour before. I haven't had a single RSVP. And I'm like, well, nobody's coming anyway. And besides that, and then I have refreshments, and I'm like looking at the refreshments, thinking, well, on those refreshments that you got are rather lame. You could have something better than this, and on and on and on. And it'll drive you nuts, right? Well, the funny thing is, all of those bits of information may have some use. Maybe just for next time, it might be worthwhile to consider, well, perhaps I could have something different for refreshments. Or I could read the other article and listen to the other recordings, et cetera, and be better prepared. So there's something useful about what the voice was saying. It wasn't what the voice was saying that was problematic, in fact. And by the way, and even if the voice is saying problematic things or calling you names or something, like, oh, you stupid idiot, nobody's going to come now. Because I'll tell you where it got to. Finally, about a half an hour or 15 minutes before the event was about to start, there was a voice inside of my head that would say, well, what the hell do you know about personal growth anyway? Look at what a mess you are today. Right? And I'm like, oh, now I'm really ready. So that stuff goes on. And again, you can struggle to try to change that internal message. And there was a big movement in the 70s. There was a guy named Shad, somebody who One of these days I've got to look up his name, because every time I talk about it, I say the same thing. It's Hammer something. Hammermeister, Hammerstein, Hammerberg. It's, I'm almost certain that it's a Jewish name that starts with Hammer. But Shad, whoever he was talking about the self-talk and improving the quality of your self-talk and saying nicer things to yourself inside. But what I discovered was, it wasn't the voice inside my head that was causing trouble in terms of what it was saying. It was causing trouble in terms of the submodalities involved. That is, that voice, and those of you who really have one that gets on your case, if you notice, it's a tone of voice that really isn't one that you would use in polite company with other people. You know, it's something that you reserve just when you want to terrorize your own self. You know, so literally, changing the tone of the voice, which is easier to do, is something that's available as soon as you become aware that it's going on. Have you ever watched a movie, a drama, where somebody's been kidnapped, right? And the kidnapper has this little thing that he straps onto the telephone, and then when he talks in it, he's got a whole other voice, right? Well, what if you had one of those that you could install in your own head so that when you start to get on your case, you know, you could deliver the same message in a different tone of voice? And I'll give you an example. There's a woman named Ann Teachworth who, in the late 70s or maybe the early 80s, the early 80s, Richard Bandler did a seminar on the art of flirtation. Because, you know, you can model anything. And so he decided he was going to find somebody who was a good example, you know, to serve as a model. And he found this woman named Ann Teachworth, who was a psychotherapist from Atlanta, but also a real femme fatale, you know. And she was great. So she showed up wearing leopard print spandex. You know, it was the 70s, bear in mind, or early 80s. But and she was just dangerous, you know. But she also had this this American Southern drawl that was delightful, and you know, honey child stuff, and so what I noticed was, when I start getting on my case, well, Michael, these people are going to show up in an hour, blah, 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 I thought, well, what if it was Ann Teachworth's voice inside my head? So I flip a switch, and it says, now, Michael, those people are going to be here in an hour. Are you ready for this seminar? And I was like, well, that doesn't hurt at all. She says, you know, you could have listened to those other recordings, and, you know, and you might have, you know, read this article that you had in mind. I'm like, yeah, I might have. You know, it was okay. But seriously, if you try to say something different to yourself, you will run into a struggle, because there's a message wanting to come through. But you can change the submodalities any old time you want to. You just have to notice that it's available for you to do. And it doesn't have to be Ann Teachworth. It could be Porky Pig. I'm serious, right? Donald Duck. You know, and that's kind of great every once in a while. Or you know, Charlie Brown's. No, that's kind of cheating, because Charlie Brown's school teacher. Do you know her voice? She just goes wah 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 wah. But that's not good, because there are no words, and I guess you need the words. But you need some way to be able to convey the message, because maybe there's something useful there. And at the same time, all of the energy that makes you feel bad about that message comes from the way that it's delivered, from that terrible tone of voice that you really don't need to do to yourself anymore. And now you know that, so stop that at once.